Right then, you lot. Welcome to the funniest, most jaw-dropping compilation of off-road fails. Grab your popcorn, this is going to be good. Ah, mud, the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you've got a brand new Defender or a Suzuki Ginny, mud will swallow them both whole. Feast your eyes on this lifted Jeep, barreling headfirst into what looks like a puddle, but turns out to be a small lake. Next up, we've got a side-by-side that thinks it's a speedboat. Almost makes it to the other side, but then, cue the sad trombone. Right, onto something a bit more solid. Rock crawling. It's supposed to be a delicate dance between man and machine, a test of skill and precision. This lot, however, seemed to have missed the memo. Here comes a Toyota Tacoma, bravely tackling a steep ledge. Everything looks good, for a moment. Then the rear wheels lose traction and the whole thing turns into a teeter-totter. And then, there's this Land Rover. Poor, battered Land Rover. It ends up on its side, doors flung open like a startled beetle. The driver calmly steps out, adjusts his hat, and surveys the scene like it's just another Tuesday. Sometimes, the rocks themselves have a sense of humor. The moral of the story? Rocks are hard. Who knew? They say confidence is key, and in the world of off-roading that's certainly true, to an extent. But there's a fine line between confidence and sheer unadulterated overconfidence. And this lot? They've crossed that line and then reversed back over it for good measure. Take this bright spark, for example, who decides to hit a desert jump at full throttle. The landing? Let's just say his suspension will never be the same again. But my personal favorite has to be the fellow who attempts to ford a river in his heavily modified Jeep. The water level rises, the engine coughs, and the Jeep becomes a very expensive lawn ornament. Remember folks, pride comes before a fall, especially when off-roading. Ah, nature. Beautiful, serene, utterly unforgiving. First up, let's talk about sand. Specifically, the kind of deep, soft sand that swallows tires whole and laughs in the face of four-wheel drive. Watch as this Wrangler bounces endlessly on a dune like it's stuck on a trampoline. And then there's snow. Lovely to look at, less fun to get stuck in. This group of intrepid overlanders learns that the hard way when their fully loaded SUV decides to take an impromptu nap in a snowdrift. They spend a good 20 minutes digging it out, only to get stuck again 5 feet later. But the real entertainment comes from those who underestimate the sheer slipperiness of snow and ice. Like this chap, who decides to take his vintage Land Rover for a spin on a frozen lake. Spoiler alert, Land Rovers, even vintage ones, are not designed for ice skating. The resulting spin-out is both terrifying and hilarious in equal measure. So, whether you're battling dunes or battling blizzards, remember this. Nature always bats last, and it usually wins. Well, there you have it, proof that off-roading is rarely as glamorous as it looks in the brochures. Smash that like button, subscribe for more off-road madness, and drop a comment telling us your craziest off-road moment.